Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Saturday, May 14th, and this is the MLB DFS video for today. So, in today's video, I'll be doing a quick little recap of yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out. Talking about my core picks for today for the FanDuel main slate is a 10-game main slate overall, and then talking about my top GPP stacks for today's FanDuel main slate as well from my article over at WeBetATS.com. But without further ado, we'll get started with the recap of yesterday's picks. At the pitcher position, we had Kevin Gausman, $9,800. Got us 40 points yesterday. He was a hit. He was the third overall pitcher on the slate yesterday. So the only two guys that were better than him yesterday was Framber Valdez, who was my top mid-range play from the cheat sheet yesterday at 48 points, and then Garrett Cole at 47 points, who was another high-priced pitcher, but Kevin Gausman a little bit cheaper than him as well. Then we moved down to second base with our pivot of Jose Altuve, $3,400, got to 18.7 points, so he was a hit. We had Heimer Candelario at $2,300, pay down option, only got to 3 points yesterday, so it did give him a push. Then we had Mookie Betts at $4,200, got us 15.7 points, so he was a hit as well. Obviously, there were some outfielders that were better than him, but was not a bad day for him by any means. And then last but not least, we had Jordan Luplow, $2,600, our replacement for Austin Meadows. Typically crushes left-handed pitching. Unfortunately, he just went 0 for 4 yesterday, so he was a miss. So a little bit of a hit or miss day. There's some pretty good plays with Kevin Gausman, Jose Altuve, and Mookie Betts was fine. But Candelario and Jordan Luplow left us wanting a little bit more. And it was a relatively high-scoring day yesterday. My main lineup got 146 points and still ended up missing out on the cash. So hopefully we have a little bit stronger day today. Hopefully it's a little bit lower-scoring day as well. Obviously, some of those high-scoring days, it's just difficult to cash overall. So don't beat yourself up if you had a relatively high score and you didn't cash as well. It'll kind of average out in the long run either way. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to the core picks for today. So we're going to start off at the pitcher position. I got Zach Gallen at $9,900. Averaging just under 36 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the Cubs today. Cubs obviously not the greatest offensive hitting team in the world. Zach Gallen's actually pitched very, very well this season. The only major concern for him is the strikeouts are kind of down, but he's a guy that could give you 40 points today or more. Then we move down to second base with Gene Segura. Obviously, he was in the core yesterday, and he ended up sitting, just giving him a day off for rest. $3,400. Can't say too much here. He's been hot as of late. He is 1 for 3 versus Julio Urias in his career. So no major concerns there, but definitely a guy that's been on this massive hot streak, and we're going to continue to play him as long as he's on this hot streak. And then at third base, went with Josh Donaldson. $3,000, averaging just over 9 fantasy points per game on the season. He's kind of starting to pick it up as of late. Goes against Dallas Keuchel today, who he's 9 for 36 against in his career with 2 home runs. So there is a little bit of upside there as well, especially if he keeps the trend going that he's been on as of late. Then we can move down to the outfield with his teammate Giancarlo Stanton, $3,500. This is probably the easiest lock of the day for me. So he's averaging just over 12 fantasy points per game on the season. He's been very, very hot as of late, and he's 4 for 9 with 2 home runs against Dallas Keuchel in his career. So it should be another big game for Giancarlo Stanton once again today. And then typically I don't like to do this, but I threw Yoan Moncada down in my utility spot. Obviously, him and Josh Donaldson can only play third base, but Moncada at $2,600. Since he's been back, he's played very well. He's averaging just under 11 fantasy points per game on the season, and he is 2 for 3 versus Jordan Montgomery in his career. White Sox typically crush left-handed pitching as well, so that's a team you can stack. There's probably like 7 teams you could stack on this slate overall, so a lot of that's probably going to come down to ownership, but it should suppress some of the ownership today as well. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have here, you have $12,600, just over $3,100 per player, so maybe not paying all the way up for like a stud or what we think of as a stud, maybe a little bit more balanced approach, but there are some values out there as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my article and talk about the top GPP stacks for today. So as I kind of already mentioned, there's probably about 6 or 7 teams you could stack on tonight's slate. Try to narrow it down to 4 just because that's kind of what fits on the cheat sheet overall. But there are some other teams to consider as well. But first off, we have the New York Yankees going against Dallas Keuchel, who's pretty much struggled most of the season outside of 2 starts this year. He doesn't throw that hard. Obviously, he didn't throw that hard to start with, but it's even slower now. And if his command's not there, it's going to be a good day for this Yankees team overall. Houston Astros going against Eric Fedde should be a favorable matchup for them as well, although they do not have any history against him. Then for the Colorado Rockies, same thing, going against Carlos Hernandez, who's really struggled this season at Coors Field. Should be a pretty popular stack as well. And then last but not least, we got the Los Angeles Angels going against Adam Oller, who has very much struggled so far this year. There's no history against him as well, but a good hitting Angels team versus a poor pitcher is going to be a matchup that we want to consider as well. But with that being said, these are my core picks as well as top GPP stacks for today, May 14th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments below and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on tonight's slate. Maybe somebody from my core 5, maybe somebody from one of my top GPP stacks, might be somebody from one of those other GPP stacks that I was kind of mentioning. Obviously, the Chicago White Sox were one of them. They do crush left-handed pitching, so you do not have to be afraid to play them as well. Definitely going to be a lot of great options on this 10-game slate overall, since there's 20 teams in play and you can stack about 6 or 7 of them. So that's going to make up a good chunk, and ownership is going to be very, very important today. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. It helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Whether it's MLB or USFL at this point in time, obviously do the daily MLB DFS videos just like this. And then I do the weekly USFL DFS video. Yesterday, I had a couple other commitments in terms of meetings and everything else like that in the afternoon, so I wasn't able to put out a video, but I do have a thread on Twitter, and I do have a post on my YouTube channel going through each team by team, whether or not I would play the players in GPP or cash, or if they were just kind of a dart throw. Did list some injuries. I'll also be listing all the inactives for each of the individual games, individual teams, as they do come out as well on that post, so definitely be sure to check that out. And then with that being said, if you're a newer current subscriber who's yet to do so, also be sure to hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. Like I've been saying, I post up daily MLB DFS videos just like this. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.